Let's go. I do want to touch on the NFL. I talked about this yesterday. My frame for this in some ways that I think needs to really be injected into the conversation is that if you want to worry about free speech, and I, in many ways, I'm a strong free speech advocate. Private enterprise is the biggest threat to free speech there is in the United States. And this is a prime example of that, along with the obvious Trump-fueled racial politics of that. I want you to give me a response, and then we're going to play a clip of Nancy Pelosi responding to this, which was just sad.
Yeah, I was watching that live. So, yeah, I mean, we are hiding behind, and when I say we, I don't mean us, I mean conservatives generally, but hide behind the ability of corporations to censor our speech. And it actually is far worse when you consider their ability to threaten your livelihood,
Yep.
right? And then you also consider the implications of how they can control your political activism and anything that would challenge them and challenge their the economic structure from which they benefit. I mean, we've just skimmed the surface of the ability of private corporations to be the far more nefarious and insidious version of Big Brother than the government could ever hope to be, because we've willingly turned over freedoms like never before to private industry. So just from that perspective alone, that's a terrifying notion. But then just the sheer hypocrisy of it, right? There is, of course, the NFL is a private company. They have the right to do this. That's never the question. But I don't know if they see the inconsistency in their arguments when it's time to defend the speech of Nazis, and they don't really care that they're private corporations that are censoring the speech. They still lament over the loss of free speech. But now here in this case, they're perfectly fine. Ben Shapiro's perfectly fine with it. It's okay. Tommy, whatever her name is, is okay with it. Conservatives in general, they're okay with it. So it's just fascinating to see how brazenly the hypocrisy is never surprising, but it always is something to behold, how they absolutely have no concern about standing on the side with Nazis and then opposing black athletes, particularly in this case.
Well, we played a clip yesterday that we found of Richard Spencer actually saying explicitly, I don't remember how long ago it was now, but sometimes relatively recently, explicitly saying that, of course, these are his words now, not mine, that yes, we oppose free speech, but we're going to use it as a tool for our politics, and it should just be axiomatic. The burden on us as democratic socialists or actual liberals in the proper usage of that word, by which I mean essentially in this context people who actually do support and defend free speech. The burden is always going to be that fascists have always used free speech as a tool to destroy free societies. And this is the classic. So I think it's hypocrisy, but it's also a very intentional strategy that you see writ large. And that's also why you only see, there's very few people that are going to come out that are in that sort of lane and say, well, this is, totally wrong. And this is the same thing we've been complaining about, because they're using this language as a political tool, a line of attack for a certain kind of politics, not because they're actually concerned about the value of open society.
You're plagiarizing my podcast from today that I just published, so you haven't even. That's literally what I was saying in today's episode. Like, this is strategic. This is very intentional. They will use free speech to their benefit and then withhold it from us. But most of all, though, if you're in terms of hypocrisy, you can count on conservatives being consistent for one thing and one thing only: to protect this power structure from ever being challenged, from ever being changed, from ever benefiting marginalized people. Whatever side of any argument they have to be on, no matter how hypocritical it makes them seem, you can consistently count on conservatives being on the side of defending power. And this is what this is about in the NFL. It's about NFL owners trying to show that they literally own these people, and they can tell them to jump, and they better ask how high. And then on the flip side, it's about Donald Trump and the conservatives trying to protect power. This is not about disrespecting the flag, disrespecting the nation. That's language that they use to maintain power.
That's exactly it. And that's a sort of intellectual rigor and moral clarity that obviously was mirrored and echoed by House Democratic Leader Nancy Pelosi. Or was it? Let's play this clip and see how she responded to this NFL attack on free speech.
We just had a rule change by the NFL today, okay? When the anthem comes on, you stand. If you do not want to stand, stay in the locker room. If you come out onto the field and you kneel or you in other ways protest, you will be fined. Are you okay with this rule change by the NFL?
I would be more okay with it if they had consulted with the players. I don't think the players agreed to this. This was the owners. And by the way, it's the owners who would be fined. I love the national anthem. I mentioned earlier to Jesus that I'm from Baltimore. That's where it was written during the War of 1812. So I'm very possessive of it. Sometimes people say, maybe we should change the national anthem. No, I'm from Baltimore. I love the national anthem, and I love the flag. Our homes are all decorated with flags. It's such a beautiful thing. And I love the First Amendment. And I'll just leave it at that. I love the First Amendment.
Really makes you think.
Deepen. So anyway, let me tell you, man, I used to work for this company that did liberal, progressive kind of videos. That company has since gone out of business. But one of the main problems we had there was that we covered the NFL story too much for them. And, you know, liberals, they love the NFL. Some, you know, they love the flag, just like what's her name just said. And so part of the problem in this fight isn't just conservatives being inconsistent and conservatives using this as a strategy to attack us. It's also fighting against liberals who are tired of having to talk about this and tired of you interfering with their football game. You know, oh, you want us to protest? Nah, man, I love the Dallas Cowboys too much. This kind of thing. Something that we face regularly, not from conservatives, but from liberals who probably will star in the next episode of Get Out.
That was in the chamber, but it worked. I like it. Yeah, though, I mean, Nancy Pelosi, there's a lot of Get Out scenarios there.